It's me.
Can you believe that, man?
The last word.
Yeah, that's right. You got it. Last word.
Welcome back to The Last Word. I'm your host, Owen L. Baxter. Thank you for tuning in. We've got a lot of great show lined up. Before we get started, won't you take the time to like, subscribe, and comment, because we definitely want to hear from you. Let's get started in Boston. Boston, the 76ers, the series is going on. It's been fantastic. But the Celtics walked off the court angry and frustrated after giving up home court advantage in their series opening loss to the 76ers. Boston called on those emotions and its defense to dominate in Game 2. Jaylen Brown led the way, scored 25 points, and the Celtics rolled past Philadelphia 121-87 on Wednesday night, spoiling the return of the new league MVP, Joel Embiid. Now, Malcolm Brogdon, he added 23 points, connected on 6 of Boston's 23-pointers. Derek White and Marcus Smart added 15 points apiece. Jason Tatum played most of the game in foul trouble and was held to only 7 points. Now, James Harden, who tied his postseason career high with 45 points in Game 1, missed all 6 3-pointers and shot just 2 of 14 overall, while finishing with 12 points, 10 rebounds. Embiid's return came a day after being voted MVP for the first time. Kyron, let me ask you this question. I'm going to have to just ask you this question. MVP Joel Embiid comes back last night and they get blown out. Question, Kai. Is this a bad sign, or is this just a bad game for the 76ers? Yeah.
Well, one thing right off the bat I have to ask you, because in that lead in here, there was a name I didn't hear.
What name did you not hear?
From the Philadelphia 76ers.
I mean,
a guy who in Game 1 scored 45 points.
No, you heard me.
Had a crazy breakout game. I didn't hear his stats for the night.
You heard me say his stats. You were listening.
I heard
he had 12 points.
Tobias leading the way.
Okay, James
Harden
Harden
had Embiid again with second most and that was the end of it. I didn't hear another name after.
Oh, because
so if you can just, I don't know if you skip past it or intentionally, unintentionally, but if you could just fill me in, just to make sure I heard.
To fill you in, James Harden.
Because I know he didn't score more than 16 points if Tobias led the team with 16 points.
James Harden shot 2 of 14.
Okay.
And he ended off with 12 points.
Okay.
10 rebounds.
Oh, okay.
Right? So.
Okay.
Big
difference from Game 1, right? And like I've said, after Game 1, one game does not make a series, right? So, hey, you called me out the day after he had his once-in-a-lifetime performance, his flashback game. So, and I remember you clearly saying to me that he was going to have multiple big games. So, we're going to just brush this one under the rug.
No, hold on. I think
we'll assume that those games will come later on.
That he could have a game.
What?
I think I said it was possible that he could have multiple games of 40 plus
Please
points.
Insert clip.
We'll insert the clip as it comes. Okay, so your take is that
it's going as planned. Again, losing the first game, kind of unplanned, yes. But the better team is Boston. Boston has the better players. And you've seen on a night like this, Tatum, not even a non-factor. And Boston rolls past them. As it should be expected, however, after that upset in Game 1.
Let me bring up this stat for you, okay? 1 for 9. That is Joel Embiid's postseason record against the Boston Celtics. Okay. 1 for 9. So you could argue the case that when Joel plays, they lose. MVP. And when he doesn't play, they win. I mean, let's go back to Brooklyn.
With that reasoning, then what you're telling me is Philadelphia is a better team without Joel Embiid.
I didn't say that. They played the first game in Boston, 45 points. James Harden was aggressive, scores 45.
Boston playing down to its opponents.
If that's what you want to label it, that's fine.
That missing their best player, you could just stroll to a victory, and they got popped. I think they should have rested him for Game 2. They came into Boston. They got one game. Again, you don't want to say you're going to kick the game, but for the purposes of Joel Embiid and the importance that he is for this team, yeah, you got to say, I'm going to give him those extra few days and hope that him coming back in on Friday in Game 3 at home in Philadelphia, potentially getting his MVP trophy at that moment. What a feeling. What that boost and that adrenaline rush would probably be able to hold him through a game, especially a game back after.
I think this is going to be one of the few times I'm going to agree with you. I think that the person that we should be looking at the most right now is Doc Rivers. Mm-hmm. Doc Rivers probably could have, I don't know, played his cards a little bit better in this one. Just like you said, Philadelphia's already up 1-0, right? Harden has never been as aggressive as I seen him in game 1 since he's been on the team. I don't think he's even scored 45 points since he's been on Philadelphia. But let's just stick to the game on last night. I think that if Doc Rivers would have given Harden a chance to come out, continue that momentum, play with such intensity to possibly see if he could bring another 40. Mm-hmm. But then what he does is the team's used to having the big fella in the middle. The big fella comes back on the court, and I guess the offensive strategy now shifts. How do we get Embiid involved in the game? How do we get everyone else involved in the game? But then you also take away from Harden's, I guess, his drive and his will to go to the net. Mm-hmm. So the offense switched in such a way that they only produce 87 points. Now, I'm going to say this. If it was me, I would have said, you know what? Let's hold him out the game. And if we don't hold him out the game, let's do this. Doc Rivers, I don't know. I think he needs to go. If it was me,
I'm not getting rid of him mid-series, right?
Not mid-series, but not right now.
You got to work with
the
what's
assistants
going
need
on
to come
here.
up and say something. Because if it was me, I think I would have even brought Joel Embiid off the bench. Let the team that closed out the first game start this game, and Joel Embiid can sort of be somewhat like an X factor. Come off the bench. They don't know what to prepare for him, and then he would be playing against the second unit of Boston Celtics. That would probably give him an easier, I guess, transition into the game.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't see why Doc Rivers wouldn't allow that to happen.
But let's be honest. This is the MVP you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a guy who scores 30 points with ease, who dominates the interior. You're not. This is playoffs basketball, second round. You're not and if he's available to play, you're not. That is so far from your mindset thinking about I'm gonna put in Joel Embiid as a 6-man mentality.
But
No
Kai,
way. Come on.
But Kai,
Come on.
look at him. He does not look the same. 3 rebounds from your MVP.
Yeah,
like that.
He's missed a few games. This is basketball. Basketball is a game of rhythm.
It's also the
you are out a
playoffs.
few games. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So
So intensifies it.
So
yes.
why start him?
So you got to get him in. Why not get him in there? Get his feet wet. Maybe use that approach. Get him his feet wet in this game, where we don't necessarily gonna put everything to try to obtain this win. Get his feet wet. Get home in Philadelphia. He has that little rust opportunity to work out some of that rust in this game 2. Get into game 3 full gear, going ready to win. You've got the win you needed in Boston. No matter how the second game played out, you walk away. If your objective was to win one game in Boston, you've met that objective.
Moving forward, your MVP comes back. Not only does he come back, but he's compromised. And it's visibly seen on the court. Result, Sixers lose. You're talking about they should be happy they stole one at home. You have to understand this is playoff basketball.
Okay.
You're not happy with one win. Forget that. It's a series. And right now, the series, if you ask me, Boston is looking at Embiid. They got a good look at what they're up against, and they're saying to themselves, "No problem,
But
we got this."
they have that confidence from before the series started, and the same confidence I had that the Boston was going to win this series.
Well, yeah.
because Boston is a better team than Philadelphia,
And
the
I think-
record head to head proves it, and what we all see with our eyes and understand is that Philadelphia lacks in parts, and a lot of that is in
What
part
really
to
stood
James
out-
Harden's
what-
inability.
Okay, you can talk about the disrespect on James.
What was the stats you said for game 2?
12 2 of 14.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
2 of 14.
For 12 points, double, 10 rebounds.
Would you say that is a good performance?
I would
Or is
say-
that subpar?
I would
is
say
that poor?
I would
Is that
say
atrocious?
It is all of those things for a superstar. So let me ask you what this is. 7 points. On I don't even know what his shooting percentage was, but it was really poor. But Jason Tatum ends up with 7 points, and they still end up beating 76ers by over 30 points. What's that about?
And nobody cares when you score 7 points and your team wins, right? But people do care when you shoot 2 for 14 and your team gets blown out.
So my point then
Right?
goes to say that Boston's probably looking at it and say, don't worry, Embiid's playing. The analytics are on our side. Just go out there and compete, guys, because
So everything you're saying to me is that Philadelphia is a worse team when Embiid's on the court, or when Embiid is on the court. And,
it would lead me to believe
not at 100%.
if he's not 100%
They're a worse team with him on the court.
on the court right now.
Wow.
So Joel Embiid, my message is to you. Yes, you got the MVP. Yes, you finally cried your way to the MVP. I don't think you should have got the MVP, but stats-wise and your body of work and a little bit of patting on the back, don't worry, Joel. The league found it fit to hand you the Michael Jordan MVP award.